And away we go. Good evening, everyone, or whoever's listening. I'm talking with Scottish individual just about all the shit that's gone on in the past week. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very well, other than the fact that I've now learned I'm a neo-Nazi, and obviously I am the reason that ISIS are killing hundreds of people across Europe this year.
Uh,
So yeah, I'm doing pretty well considering.
yeah, pretty much everyone that's to the right of Noam Chomsky is a Nazi. So you've got a lot of people in
So
company. That's pretty much the majority of the world. So, yeah, the going back to the Donald Trump announcement. When he first announced, made the statement. I don't think he said anything wrong. But attacks on many
no,
sides.
he's no, he
Yeah.
was, in my opinion, he was completely right. Everything he said regarding the far left was correct. I thought that, to be honest, I thought it was a press conference that could have been a little bit smoother. He could have played the game a little bit and kind of focused on the individual who got behind the wheel of the car and decided to plough into a bunch of Marxists. He could have got behind him, went after him. But I do appreciate the fact that he did try to kind of add a little bit of context to the whole situation, because if you look at it, if you take a step back and you look at it from the perspective of someone who has been involved in the culture war, and you take a little look at what's happened over the last 12 months. In the last 12 months alone, Antifa and the far left have repeatedly had political opponents' speeches and rallies shut down. They have repeatedly attacked people who are not of their own political persuasion. If you
Yeah,
look at
that's true. Actually, I put a wee compilation video on YouTube of
yeah,
Antifa attacks. But sorry, carry on.
well, for the last year, Antifa have been intimidating. They have attempted to shut down almost everything that is not a far left open borders, socialist democratic slash Marxist take on the world and politics and the way a country should be governed. They've went after every free speech advocate. If you support free speech, the illusion from the left is that you are a Nazi, you're a far right white nationalist or whatever. They've somehow in the last 18 months really been able to identify free speech and individual liberty and civil liberties with being exclusively right wing white nationalist, almost a far right belief system. Whereas, to be perfectly frank, if you look over the last 200 years, free speech has pretty much been a centre to left, kind of position to hold. The right had a much stronger Christian presence in the last 200 years, which meant that they were a little bit more authoritarian in some regards when it came to speech. And the left in the last 200 years have pretty much in the West stood against authoritarian regulations on speech. But
Yeah,
now,
yeah. I
now
sent in a tweet earlier saying that remember when the left were anti-establishment and now they're foot soldiers of the establishment.
it's pretty bizarre to behold it now. I saw your tweet, and naturally I think I liked it or retweeted it, but I saw it and I was like, yeah, that's exactly where we're at right now. We're at a position where the left have got the media on their side. I saw Theresa May defending Antifa. I tweeted a few links and I tweeted a few clips from the BBC where she basically said there is no parallel to be drawn. I'm pretty much paraphrasing it, if not quoting it exactly. But she
There's a strange
said
noise
that,
coming from your end, dude.
what about now?
I can hear a bit better now. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
Is this any better?
I'm hearing it. It's like a sort of robotic noise, as if you were in like a sort of factory that's making all these machines.
What about now?
Right, carry on and see how you do.
Right, well, hopefully anyone listening can hear this.
Yeah, it's starting again. If anyone in the chat, can you let me know if it's just me or?
I'll continue anyway, and hopefully it's not so bad.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Yeah, but this week we've seen the left have completely rampaged all over individual liberty. Collectivism is all that is acceptable. If you're an individualist at all, if you support individual liberties like free speech, then quite frankly you have no place engaging with the mainstream media narrative. You're a complete scumbag. It's, to be honest, it's one of the worst years in terms of the culture war. I first got involved in the culture war probably 2007. Joined Twitter in 2009, and I've been fighting it in various forms ever since. But the fact of the matter is that in the last month or so, the last 18 months have been the worst, but in the last month or so, the media have completely thrown their weight behind Antifa, the far left. If you brand,
Absolutely.
Mate, if you brand yourself as anti-Nazi, the media will get behind you. Now, I'm caught in kind of two minds about why that is the case. One of them being that cultural Marxists will always side with cultural Marxists. So it's very easy for the media to make their transition from cultural Marxism to the kind of black hoodie, black mask, militant, street level cultural Marxism. Very easy for the media to kind of hitch to go that.
There it goes again.
Love it now, is that okay?
It keeps saying, do you want to, what are you using for your the microphone? Is that a headset or is it a proper microphone that's like USB?
No, sadly it's a headset. It is a Tesco value headset.
Right. Yeah, going back to about how, Antifa have like the support from like the media and from, celebrity culture. Like I absolutely love, the actual far right, the proper Nazis. But yeah. Antifa are more dangerous because they've got the corporate support, they've got the media support, and people are, the media are lying about what they are. I mean, just because they're called Antifa, I mean, they're fascists in practice. They just act like fascists towards people who they disagree with.
Well, they demonstrably are fascist. They don't realise it. Like they genuinely think that fascism is the fusion of racism and capitalism. That's what they think fascism is. In actual fact, fascism.
That's absolutely bollocks. That.
Well, it truly is. But fascism, in actual fact, is any authoritarian ideology that seeks to diminish the individual, impose a collective, and regulate what is an acceptable opinion or an acceptable expression within that collective. It's basically one ideology gets to dominate, and any other ideologies are, completely outlawed. I mean, like, I'm a centre-right libertarian, very, very moderate in most regards. But if you speak,
yeah, but man, you're not Noam Chomsky, so that basically makes you a fascist.
Yeah, exactly. As I blaze a cigarette, I'll clarify. The fact of the matter is, I might as well be a Nazi, because at the end of the day, I'm not a left winger. I'm not far left. I'm not anti-free speech, Antifa, kind of goon. I'm not one of them. And if you're not one of them, then what was made abundantly clear this week, if you look at Nicola Sturgeon and you look at Theresa May, both of them said the exact same thing. They basically implied that Antifa were the good guys and the Nazis or white supremacists or white nationalists or whatever you want to call that 24 guys down in South America. They were the Nazis. They were the far right evil Nazis who hate all minorities, hate LGBT, and hate Muslims, and they were the really evil guys, whereas the black masked, black uniformed Antifa far left guys were the anti-fascists, and they all got behind them. The media got behind them, and then what have we had in the last 24 hours? We've had Antifa burning the US flag in
I included that in the video I uploaded earlier.
We've had the Antifa grabbing the flag off an old lady and dragging her across the ground. And I retweeted a post from a gentleman who was walking down the street alongside some of the Antifa crew, and they decided that he looked like a neo-Nazi. He looked like a Nazi, And so they attacked him with a blade, and they attempted to stab him, and got his hand off, and took a hand injury, but at least he's not dead.
Yeah, thankfully. It's absolutely terrible. I mean, these people are like, you know, there's been a quote, you know, that's been passed around. It was it Churchill that said it. The fascists of the future will call themselves anti-fascist.
Well,
But,
that
the
quote
way they act, though.
Well,
Sorry, go on.
that quote was not Winston Churchill.
Right.
It's been widely attributed to Winston Churchill. It's not actually a quote from Churchill, but the quote does still stand. That is still correct.
Yeah.
You know, the fact of the matter is we've reached a situation where the left are now completely echoing what happened to the left in Korea, what happened to them in the Soviet Union, what happens to the left when they do get the chance to pursue their ideology. That is what is happening right now, where the media decide that the left are the good guys and centre-right, the right, libertarians.
Even centre-left, for that matter.
Even centre-left, the Blairites are considered to be almost Nazis, according to the current left.
Even like staunch, you know, proper leftists that just believe in, the high taxes and all that. Even they can run afoul of like the total ideologues.
Well,
I mean, it's happened loads of times, you know, the infighting. Anyway, I'm sorry, just before I go on, my mate in the chat has just said that maybe you should play around with the settings on your computer, because there still is a sound.
We'll try.
Yeah, there's no rush, take your time. I know you've got a lot to get off your chest, but seriously.
I don't know what settings I can play with here, though.
Yeah, Chowder, go and give some instructions for him, and I'll read them out there.
Jesus is a baby killer.
Right, hi Kevin.
Hello?
How you guys doing? You guys talking about politics?
Yeah, we're having a wee chat about politics. Who's this? Did you invite this guy, Scott?
I did not invite this guy. I don't know who Kevin is, but welcome to the party, Kevin.
Jehovah's Witnesses rape little children.
Sorry?
Right. Kevin, I've got a suggestion, mate. Fuck off.
Who is this guy?
I've got no
You
idea.
boot me, my child of wrath.
Kevin, right, I appreciate your point about the fact that Jehovah's Witnesses fuck children, but please just fuck off.
Your job is to boot truth, my child. You're supposed to boot me.
I'm not your
It's an American guy.
And get to fuck.
My friend said try the microphone settings. What to do is if you're on a computer.
Aye, laptop.
Right. I just click on the little go to the speaker thing in the bottom corner, and you might be able to sort it there. What operating system are you on?
Something for like 2010.
That'll probably be a bit easier then. Just try and like go in it and just play about with it. It's not as bad just now, but it still comes up. It's like Google have put in like a software that makes your voice go all like every time you say something. I have no idea how that guy got in. This is it must be a public thing then. I must have accidentally set it to being like totally open. Oh well, if people come in, they come in.
Is this any better?
Sorry?
Is this any better?
Yeah, that's quite good.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I've adjusted quite a few settings there, so hopefully it will be okay. I'm going to try one more thing here. Right.
No, there's definitely an improvement.
What about...
See my friend Chowder and lets us know.
What about now?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that good?
Yeah. Anyway, there was something I was wanting to say about, the second press conference, the one where Trump was really like showing his claws to them and they were trying to shout him down.
Yeah.
He made a mistake and he didn't mention, the Antifa by name, but he should have said they were communists because that's what they are. And
yeah, I know.
And all the people like say the normies, for example, that only see the mainstream media, chances are a lot of them will still see communism as like a bad thing because they'll associate it with the Soviet Union. So what Trump should have done is mentioned the alt left. Well, the alt left's good because it's pissing them off, and that's funny as fuck. But he should have said, yeah, these guys are communists. And let's face it, communism and Nazism, they're both disgusting ideologies. And as individualists, there'll be people that think that we're Nazis, but if we're individualists, we can't be, because Nazism, like communism, believes the individual is worthless and exists to serve the state.
I mean, well, I've got a few alt-right followers, and
me too.
Yeah, I can imagine. But sometimes we have little, I don't.
Oh,
so I can.
Sorry, you were cut out there. Do you want to repeat that?
Yeah, I was saying I don't go too hard on the alt-right, because of the fact that everyone else does. So I kind of take a little step back. But I get alt-right followers who every now and again will tweet me going "Oh, you're a centre-right libertarian, you're on the fence and white identity, and stuff like that." And it's like, well, I can completely oppose white genocide on the grounds that I completely oppose the genocide of any race, based upon that race. So obviously I am
a good topic for another day, actually. But we'll not go too far. But yeah, carry on.
But would you call it? Yeah, I'm very consistent. I don't agree with the genocide of any race. I agree with the genocide of active aggressors as they aggress. So if a guy shows up, I live in the East End, I live surrounded by Neds and surrounded by young Muslim gangs, and if a young Muslim busts in my door right now, he's getting stabbed or shot with a crossbow. That's true. That's not racism. That's my quest to survive. And I really worry about people who seem to celebrate, it is mainly on the left, and they seem to celebrate the idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't agree with the alt-right ideology, but see, when you've got these people, I mean, you've got people saying your grandchildren are going to be brown, and this is in America.
Yeah,
you've got these people that are saying, yes, we hate the white man. I don't know if you've probably seen that Antifa picture.
Yeah, well,
and all of them were white, strangely enough.
White upper middle class American kids.
I know, but yeah, it's just for me, when I say I oppose racism, I oppose all of it. I mean, my childhood hero was mixed race. I'm sure you might have a clue to who he is, a certain footballer from Sweden.
Of course, and
still my hero to this day. And I mean, it's got nothing to for me when it comes to race. I value a black British patriot over a white middle class citizen of the world that reads The Guardian.
Yes. I've got a very similar tweet. You may have saw it, where I've got a tweet that basically made that exact point, where I said I can never be alt-right because I prefer black conservatives and black Christians and very much an atheist.
I actually didn't see that, but
although
you do have a lot of tweets, and I think there's a sort of filter that we can't really stop on Twitter. But that's a great point.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely prefer black conservatives and black Christians to upper middle class white far left Marxists that hate the West and think that Islam is a weapon of peace, when in actual fact Islam is a totalitarian.
The progressive left love to weaponize ethnic minorities. They want them to be downtrodden. It's obviously Democrat cities in America are the worst for black gangs and all that. But the Democrats have done nothing to bring them out of it. And then you see a lot of well, not a lot. They're still in the minority, but you get a sizable number of black conservatives sort of saying, "Hang on, the Democrats have done the square root of fuck all for us."
Well, I mean, you've got Larry Elder. You've got Ben Carson, you've got Thomas Sowell, who, if I was to point anyone in the direction of a conservative thinker, it would probably be Thomas Sowell. And
I'm going to look up this guy.
Well, I mean, you really should. He's a black gentleman, but he's highly intelligent, brilliant conservative, social libertarian. Genuinely believes that the individual is the answer. I mean, if you go back over the last 200 years, in fact, over the last 300 years, during the age of imperialism, it was always individuals fighting against the established norm that went on to, have the great discoveries that made the West great. I mean, you look at Galileo, you look Copernicus, you look at Isaac Newton, you look at...
Well, it took like a whole millennium to build what we have today, really, when you think about it.
It did indeed.
And it's not just Britain and, close countries. I mean, this includes, like, the Byzantines, Constantinople and all that before that was taken by the Turks. But yeah, there's so much. I mean, look, Western countries have done bad in the past, but the way the left talk about it is as if the West invented evil.
Yes.
I mean, they won't talk about like the Ottomans with like committing like a lot of genocide against like the Byzantines and all that, and they don't really.
Think it this way. Why would they? Right? Because if you want to break it down into simply historic fact, you're looking at I believe it was 400 years, right, of Islamic conquest of Europe. 2/3 of the European Christian world had been completely conquered by Islam before the First Crusade. So when
Spain was one part as well,
that's the irony. That's the irony about what just happened in Barcelona, because the Spanish know all too well. One of the kind of most proudly expressed parts of Spanish identity was the Reconquistadors. The reconquest of Spain from Islam, and it took 400 years for the First Crusade. And the thing that fucking irritates me about the left is that they always talk about the Crusades in terms of Christian migration. And
this is when I put Galahad's Law. Whenever they bring up the Crusades, when we're talking about Islamic terrorism in modern times, they're basically saying, well, Christians did it in the past, so it's okay for Islamists to do it now. But then again, it was a retaliation. The Crusades. They even sacked Rome at one point.
Mate, they sacked Rome, they sacked Constantinople, they sacked Vienna, they took over Andalusia, they took over Barcelona, Catalonia. They invaded Libya when Libya was Christian.
Spain was under at one point for like 700 years until Reconquista came along.
Well, all of the Middle East, the vast majority of the Middle East was Christian for 1,000 years, and sadly, Islam decided, no, it's going to be that we take over and we conquer Europe. And what a lot of leftists in particular chose to ignore is the fact that we had 13 Islamic empires before a single crusade was launched. The crusades were bloody and violent, yes, but they were a product of the fact that it was the medieval age, and in the medieval age, if you did not resist conquest and try to counter-conquer, you would be fucked. You would be conquered, like 2/3 of the Christian world was until the First Crusade. And then you have the Battle of Vienna, which was pivotal, and the Battle of Vienna began...
That's what saved the West, really, because...
It really was.
Like, it was the Poles that actually helped us out. Like, Poland's people, all these anti-Brexiters say, "Oh, we hate the Poles," because Poland obviously have brought a lot of people have come from Poland to the UK. Yeah. But Poland's pretty based. I mean, did you see the banner that they had? Like, anti-Nazis, anti-communism. It's like, these people get it.
I retweeted that banner because that is the attitude you have to have. The attitude, and look, as I said earlier, I've got a lot of alt-right followers, so I do understand why they've ended up the alt-right.
Some of their their grievances are understandable. I mean, I don't agree with their solution, but I can see why this is growing. I mean, the left have created this monster.
The left have created a monster where just the fact that you might be white means that you're an oppressor and a slave master and you owe someone money. And
even though the word slave came from Slavs, I think it was it not like Middle Easterners that captured Slavs? Yeah,
it was Arab Barbary state traders used to capture Slavs and sell them. That's where the word slave came from. It's actually Muslims.
Reparations for the Slavs, am I right?
Well, why not? Why not? I'd give them it. I'd make the Muslims pay out. One of the things actually that I was talking about with my partner recently was the fact that we've had a couple of run-ins with the new arrivals, if you want to call them that.
I've seen a couple of your tweets. Yeah, I'm not going to ask you to disclose which part of Glasgow you're from, but I can imagine there's certain areas.
I'm glad to disclose that.
All right.
Kilmarnock, and what we've had me and my partner have had 3 kind of major weird experiences, and I'll quickly tell them. The first one we had was that we took our cat up to the vet. Had a health issue at the time and had an operation. And on our way, we picked up the cat at the vet, and on our way back from the vet, we were walking down the street, and I looked up and I noticed there was 3 young Muslim men standing in front of us. We had no alternative route or anything like that, and I mean, I felt partially guilty because I did judge them like initially. You know, I looked at them and I thought, okay, 3 young Muslim men. Maybe I should be, you know, concerned right now, and I felt a bit bad about that. But then, as we got closer, the 3 young Muslim men approached us, kind of circled us, and they began to like point at our cat and say, like, "Nice cat." They were smoking. They were leering at my partner, and obviously I was outnumbered 3-1. Otherwise, I would have, you know, smacked one in the face. But I was outnumbered, and I was kind of waiting to the last minute before it kicked off. And what do you call it? They were very intimidating, very aggressive. And but we kept on walking. We were able to get onto the main road, and there was cameras everywhere, etc. Right, but it was a really kind of intimidating situation. I became very aware of the fact that these guys were third world and did not understand Western culture at all. And then after that, we had an experience at the St Enoch Centre in Glasgow, where we were walking into the St Enoch Centre, and we were met by a gang of young Muslim men and 2 young Muslim women. And they proceeded to film us and come right up to our face and demand money from us. Obviously, I laughed in his face and told him, you know, "Nah, mate, get the fuck." We got inside,
Yeah.
and walking. And then the other incident we had, which was a very weird one, there was a Celtic game on, and because I live in Kilmarnock, I was quite close to Celtic Park, and which used to come in handy when I used to go to every single game for about, you know, a decade or whatever all my life. And we were walking towards the train station. I was taking my partner to work that night, and we were walking by these like old garages that had been set on fire like not so long before this. Very Glasgow, you know, very Glasgow burnt out garage. And we're walking by it, and then the door flies open, and a gang of tall, young, you know, healthy Somalian men pour out, and they start giving us the eyeball. And that's just 3 instances, right, where third worlders that I've encountered in my area have displayed a less than civil attitude to myself and my partner. And I feel it's very unfortunate that that when you comment on the differences between the first world and the third world, you get called a racist and Islamophobe and all the other kind of, you know,
weaponized buzzwords.
Yeah,
it's absolutely like, stupid. I mean, I appreciate you giving us an account of that, but we are drifting off topic. There was one thing I was wanting to say earlier. Actually, I was in Mallorca 3 years back, and obviously the Islamic Moors were in control there at one point, and I went to like the big cathedral, and it's a beautiful building, but I could swear there was a little bit that was like sort of that used to be a minaret, you know, the towers that they have on mosques.
Yeah.
I could swear it was just like wow. I mean, to think that they actually ruled that land for a time.
They ruled all of Southern Europe for almost 1,000 years, and they ruled 700. Italy.
I don't think they had like full control of what's now Italy, because I do think that
they never did.
They sacked like Rome, but they never like ruled it in the way that they ruled most of Spain. I think there was one Spanish kingdom in the far north, like in the Basque territory, that was still Christian.
Yep.
And everywhere south. I mean, you can still see like Moorish architecture, like in the southern cities. But again, I'm drifting off the topic now. Yeah, so going back to like the strawman, and that's what this stream's about. You know, how they strawman like our arguments.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly, I can't bring the tweets up. I never saved them. I wish I did. But obviously, there was someone that was saying if you blame both sides of, you know, what happened at Charlottesville, then you're a fascist, basically.
right, which is obviously completely absurd. For the last 2 years, we've had to listen to the left, especially in the mainstream left in America, calling every single person that doesn't buy into their Marxist, weird, far-left agenda, calling everyone that doesn't buy into that a Nazi and far-right. The fact of the matter is, their ideology has been debunked repeatedly. People accept the flaws in capitalism, but they understand that authoritarian leftism leads to the death of hundreds of millions in a very short period of time, through starvation, through war, civil unrest, etc. Fact of the matter is, what we've witnessed in the last week is basically the media have said, you know what, guys, we're on the side of the far left, and if you're not on that side, you're a fucking Nazi. That's basically where we're at now.
I know there's been a massive strawman campaign in the last week from like the press and from celebrities. Actually, there was one celebrity I used to quite like him. I don't know if I would now. I've not really paid attention. Matt Lucas, you know, the gay guy that done Little Britain.
I quite like Matt Lucas a lot, to be honest. I'm a big fan of his work as an artist. I like him in Doctor Who. I like his comedy. I like Little Britain, you know. But what's his point going?
I don't really have anything against them, because when I was into like Little Britain, I wasn't really into politics other than singing IRA songs as a wee stupid Raj Celtic fan.
Been there, done that, obviously.
You know what? I've got like some mental scars. I could actually know the lyrics to some of the songs to this day.
I can sing them all, and I can sing all the Counter songs. I can sing the Sash, and I can sing the Sam song.
Dude, it's time to like just bring like Ireland and Britain together and just like get over all these like stupid things. I mean, there was a lot of bad stuff in the past. Like, again, I'm going to steal from Trump and say on both sides.
Yeah.
But it's like we've got to move on. I mean, most people in the Republic of Ireland don't even really want to, you know, get into all that stuff with the North.
That would be the Republic of Ireland, who have a centrist government and still outlaw abortion, things like that. We're still heavily Christian. You know, the fact is the Republic of Ireland is very different from the left-wing utopia that the Scots-Irish would like to kind of promote.
Oh yeah, Ireland's absolutely terrible. I mean, I don't know if you watch him, Dave Cullen, Computing Forever.
I do indeed, yes.
He's made a few videos, you know, from time to time about how like there's like no hope for any sort of like centre or conservative leaning or sort of common sense party in Ireland.
Yeah.
It's like it's a shame, because like they were like very pious in their Catholicism until recently.
I know.
And they used to be one of the wealthiest countries in the world. Like for the first 60 odd years of being the Republic, you know, after leaving the UK, they actually prospered. And then they became more sort of Eurocentric, and then they just chucked all that prosperity down the drain.
Well, Ireland made a very quick transition. Ireland had the opportunity to trade with Australia, with America, with Canada, with all the various countries that were very fond of Ireland, but they chose to go down the road of European Central Bank, European loans, interest rates. They chose to go down that road, and now they're in a situation where they're not allowed to float a deficit higher than 3%. Therefore, they're not allowed to borrow their way out of certain. You know, sometimes I'm a libertarian, but I do accept that sometimes you need to borrow and you need to run a deficit just to be able to create the conditions necessary for free enterprise and growth. They are not able to do that.
Just to get them back on their feet.
They're not even allowed to do that. They can't take a slight Keynesian hit. They're not even able to do that. They are completely governed by Brussels, just like most European satellite states. That's what I call EU nations. I don't call them EU nations or anything like that. I just call them satellite states.
That's pretty good.
That's what they are, though. Like literally, if you actually break it down and look at the way the constitution works, they are satellite states of Brussels. Britain took a very bold decision, a very brave decision to leave the EU. I hope Ireland does the same. I think that some of the Eastern European states, I think like Poland, I think even a bit more centrally like Hungary, places like that, I think they are going to try and resist the EU a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, it's because of like well, when it comes to the issue of migration, all of the Slavic countries are more red pilled because these countries, these were under the Ottomans. I mean, the Ottomans didn't take over us, so we're kind of like, we're sort of like most people in the West take what we have for granted, but them in like the East, I mean, they knew. I mean, I was actually surprised when I learned a few years ago that the Bosnian people are actually Muslims, even like the blonde-haired and blue-eyed ones. I saw like a guy with a buzz cut, really blonde hair, blue eyes, holding an ISIS flag, and he looked like a neo-Nazi, but well, he was in a manner of speaking when you think about it.
He's a far right, but in a different way.
Yeah, but having a bit of a block now. But yeah, the EU, going back to that. I mean, it's a shame about Ireland, giving away their independence. Ireland, once a nation, has become a province once again.
I mean, that's the weird irony. Ireland's weird obsession with the UK causes them a lot of problems, because like the Republican movement in the South of Ireland are very strong in terms of voice, but they're almost completely diametrically opposed to the main leadership in Ireland. So what you end up with is this main leadership in Ireland who are very centre-left, kind of social democrats, but they're still very aware of the fact that Ireland is overwhelmingly Christian. So they always kind of tread carefully. None of the parties in Ireland are particularly revolutionary. They tend to tread very carefully. But what really staggers me is the fact that a lot of the Republican movement will automatically support whatever they perceive the opposite of the UK to be. And I think that doesn't do well for them, because Ireland really could, like, if you really go back in Irish history and you go back to when it was the pro-treaty side versus the anti-treaty side, if you go right back to the late 1800s and you look at Ireland, both sides, the pro-treaty who wanted to remain in the UK but have home rule, and the anti-treaty who wanted complete total independence, both of them were completely opposed to any form of European Union or a kingdom of Europe. They were completely opposed to it. But what you've had is the entryism of SJWism into Irish republicanism.
Yeah, it's been a pretty stealthy move, cultural Marxism, the Frankfurt School and all that. It's been years of just subtly doing it, and it's such a sneaky way to the point where everyone's like, well, not everyone, because a lot of people are now against it. It's what I like to call the silent majority.
Yeah.
But you've got the whole celebrity class, and all these actors. I mean, and it would surprise me if in the new Doctor Who, the one that's got the she doctor, if they end up weaving some sort of anti-Brexit sentiment into it.
That is almost inevitable, by the way. They will. Yeah. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I need to disclaim that now. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. But I know what's coming. They already did they've done a very anti-Brexit episode, where they had a character who was effectively, what's his name? That guy who he pumped a lot of money into UKIP and he pumped a lot of money into the campaign. I think it's Aaron something.
I have no idea who it is, I'm afraid.
You would know him if you saw him. You would go, oh, that guy. But there was an episode of Doctor Who that had a character that was clearly based on this very loud Leave figure. But the next Doctor Who, I've got a feeling that they'll deliver a scene where the Cybermen convert to Islam. And, that's the way that we'll achieve peace. If we all just convert to Islam, if we all just convert to this weird backward desert religion, everything will work out fine.
It won't, though, because you'll have the Sunnis versus the Shias, and you'll have the Sunnis will split in two and all that. I mean, if you think like the Catholic and Protestant conflict in Northern Ireland's bad, I mean, obviously it's on our doorstep, so that's what we know about more. But the Sunni Shia conflict in the Middle East is fucking brutal.
Mate, it's ravaged for 800 years, and it's never going to stop. It hasn't stopped in 800 years. It isn't going to stop now. It's not going to sudden. And by the way, just to make this clear, each of the two interpretations of Islam, Shia and Sunni, are still horrific, tyrannical, anti-individual, anti-woman, anti-gay.
I do have to say, although this might be a bit controversial, but I sort of like the Shias more than the Sunnis, because at least the Shias keep themselves to themselves. Like Iran, I don't see Iran wanting to spread Islam around the world in the same way that Saudi Arabia do.
That's the huge difference. The Shias are more than content to keep in their little enclaves. So
they just you know, they just oppress their own people, which I know I shouldn't laugh at. It's not funny, but
no, it's funny.
It's kind of like North Korea. I mean, I hate North Korea, but at least they keep their tyranny in their own boundaries.
As much as the only problem with North Korea is that they test their missiles a little bit too close to Japan.
Oh yeah, they have been playing with fire. It's all Trump's fault though.
They've been up to some shit. Recently. So when they fire the missiles in the vicinity of Japan, I get a little bit apprehensive. When they test missiles just on the coast right next to the south, I get very apprehensive. But the fact of the matter is, at least they are not financing North Korean churches in my country that keeps killing me. Whereas Islam does.
Yeah. Well, it's specifically Saudi Arabia. I mean, this is the thing that annoys me, and I made this is something that I don't know if you saw my video a couple of weeks back. I was having a wee dig at Owen Jones, and he rightfully brings up, UK's relationship with Saudi Arabia, and it's bad. And I honestly wish that Saudi Arabia would be given the same treatment that we give to North Korea, because it's them that's been funding it, all this, extremism. Yeah. I think of radical Islam as a hydra with all these like heads, and if you cut off ISIS, you don't solve the problem, because they've got other heads like Al Qaeda, the Taliban, Al Shabaab, and all these, the Muslim Brotherhood. And Saudi Arabia is like the beating heart, and it's like you've got to stop funding them, because I honestly think. Because I was watching a documentary, what was it? I think it was Tom Holland, and the Prophet Muhammad actually started to appear more like Napoleon. When the French colonized North Africa.
Yeah.
And they were actually, they were becoming quite liberal in a way. It was so strange. They were pretty much against like viewing women. I mean, I remember the Egyptian president. His name was Mohammed something. In 1950, and he was laughing at the idea that the Muslim Brotherhood wanted women to wear burqas and all that. And you've obviously seen like Iran and Afghanistan, where women were like the women were able to just dress like the women in the West, until all these insurgents came along and just fucked everything up.
They were unveiled for about 100 years. You know what I mean? It's like they were unveiled for 100 years. They were getting educated. They were learning to drive for about 30 years. Women were emancipated in the Middle East as much as they were in Europe.
Oh, you've gone blank a bit.
1950s, we ended up in a situation where you had the revolution in Iran. Which was a kind of quasi-Islamic revolution, but not as much. The CIA, America, they were a bit more open to the revolution in Iran. In fact, there's some evidence that they actually aided that revolution. But that was
sounds like the CIA, to be honest.
Well, that was a more moderate Islamic revolution, if there is such a thing. Whereas the late 1970s revolution was the transition from a kind of Western idea of egalitarianism into a Middle Eastern idea of men are supreme, women are complete inferiors, gays should be killed, blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up with a situation where gay people were being hung from crimes in Iran, and women were getting executed for the crime of driving. So even an enlightened Islamic Republic poses the risk that they will tip over into more traditional Islamic beliefs, which, quite frankly, I don't want in the West. I mean, I feel it's almost indicative of the West when I feel a little bit like on edge when I say I'm against Muslims high-end gays, I'm against Muslims killing women who've been raped, I'm against Muslims, slaughtering animals on the street as part of the
Filthy Islamophobe.
See, that's what I'm saying. No, you know what I mean? It's like we've reached a very weird place when I feel like the left think I'm a Nazi because I say that I'm against Muslims stoning rape victims. It's like what is happening?
I mean, they'll go to like some length to actually justify it. They'll say, "Oh, it's because of foreign policy of the West and all that shit." I mean, I wonder if it was the Byzantine foreign policy that made them take Constantinople.
Yeah, was it 1400 years? Was it 1400 years of Western foreign policy when Islam was conquering all Christian countries in the Middle East?
I blame Israel, even though they never existed all that time. I still blame Israel. Anyway, I wanted to go back to the Tom Holland documentary I was watching, and you know how France and Paris in particular have been like major targets for ISIS.
Yeah.
There's actually a reason for that. 2 reasons. The first one was because think of the Crusaders, the Knights Templar. I think they were mostly French. So that was one reason.
Yeah.
And the second reason was because the French sort of diluted Islam and modernized it a bit in the north of Africa. And Egypt was one of the countries that was affected by this because, like I said earlier, the Prophet Muhammad ended up becoming was somewhat more Napoleon-like rather than the original, from the original scripts. And this is when people basically what little individualism that part of the world has seen kind of peaked when the French and in the aftermath of the French leaving until Saudi Arabia came along and started like funding the caliphate again. But yeah, France is like they see them as like the worst, even worse than America and Britain, funnily enough.
Yeah, because that's why like Islam, Islam in Africa, and they went into the caliphate and conquered nations. So I mean, for me, I'm not even remotely surprised that Muslims have been particularly active in France. And if you look at the terror attacks in France, the vast majority of the people that have been behind them have been Algerian, French Muslims. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah, a lot of people in France are actually descendants of people that are from like former French colonies in Africa. A lot of them, like Zinedine Zidane, the footballer and now manager, he was of Algerian descent. I was actually surprised when I found out. But he's obviously well integrated. He played his football, one of the best players I've ever watched. And then you've got these no-go zones, and ISIS have been like sort of recruiting from these places.
France is a unique beast, right? The one thing I like is that the left expose themselves when it comes to imperialism, because British imperialism is the most evil, heinous thing that's ever existed, right? But
Genghis Khan would be jealous of what the Brits done.
right? But French imperialism, no comment on that. Italian imperialism, no comment. German imperialism, no comment.
I don't think
the Italians actually had the Italians had a mini empire, man. The Italians done quite well when it came to Sicily and certain parts of North Africa. The Italians done quite well.
I knew the French and the Spanish done quite a bit because they had empires. I mean, that's why they've got Latin America. That's basically because of Spanish imperialism. Yeah. But it's the English-speaking world that have sort of prospered in recent years, and socialism is set everywhere else. But yeah, carry on.
Well, the fact of the matter is, the Spanish done very well in South America. They got Brazil, they got Argentina, the Portuguese got Brazil, the Spanish got Argentina and Mexico, and they done very well in the imperial age between 1700 and 1890. They done very, very well. The French done quite well.
Poland was actually Portugal was quite powerful.
Portugal
I'm going to
super powerful, man.
I'm going to go off topic for a minute. I remember a Portuguese guy saying that Portugal was basically the Christian equivalent of the Taliban back in the day. Like, they were the most pious country in all Europe.
They were the most Catholic country in Europe for about
Yeah.
150 years.
They were like fierce, but you know, it stopped. I think it started to turn around, and atheism started spreading in 1757 after the big earthquake in Lisbon. It completely ruined the city. And,
because
they
people
thought, why would God do
why
that?
would God?
Yeah,
why would God destroy the most Christian city in the world at that point? Would you call it? The real thing is, like, the French got a pass, Spanish got a pass, Portuguese got a pass, the Mongolians got a pass, the Romans got a pass. Every empire under the sun gets a pass. The 14 caliphates get a pass, yet Britain, no pass. We are responsible.
it's not even about making passes. It's just about, for me, it's just like, I don't believe, like, even though I would bring up, say, the Ottoman Empire, should, like, if a leftist was talking about British imperialism, I'd say, well, should Turks feel guilty for the Ottoman Empire? And in my opinion, they shouldn't, because they can't do anything about it. I mean, they're in a totally different era. But it's just like, it's a human thing, and naturally you get so many powerful, like, dynasties. I mean, Japan was probably one of the most recent ones when they were trying to, you know, when they were part of the Axis.
Yeah.
I mean, what they did to the Chinese was, like, brutal. And, like, Japan's one of my favourite, like, countries in the world. Like, I'd love to go there. I do karate, so I would love to go there for that reason.
Same.
But before the war, they were, or during the war even, they were like savages. They would actually tie people up and tickle them to torture them, and apparently that was quite bad.
Well, I mean, the Japanese did conquer parts of China over the last 1,000 years.
Because
they conquered parts of Korea as well. They've done parts of the Philippines and Indonesia. The Japanese had a pretty strong empire. But the thing that I find fascinating is that all of the countries we've discussed, from Portugal, France, Spain, Mongolia, China, Japan, all of the countries get a pass, right? Yet Britain doesn't. And the reason Britain doesn't get a pass is because we actually won the imperial age. No country had an empire, and that includes the Romans, as big as the British Empire. So what you have is the left are riddled with white guilt anyway. What the left never want to acknowledge is that the Vikings took slaves, the Romans took slaves, the Egyptians took slaves, the North took slaves.
They'll acknowledge the Vikings because the Vikings were white and blonde-haired.
Yeah, they'll acknowledge Aryan slavery, right? Let's be frank, right? But okay. But they won't acknowledge, like, Central African slavery, North African slavery, Southern African slavery, the South American slave trade.
I've got another wee theory as to why there might be some British guilt, although we don't hear about this as much.
Go on.
Like there's something on the telly. I'll come to that in a minute. But yeah, British imperialism is what kind of led to the United States of America. I mean, they kept, they kept the same values, but they just didn't identify as British because not many of them had been there. And obviously, that's a very fascinating time in history of the American Revolution. But they went from being like a small, fragile movement. I mean, the Brits were going to crush them. They were supposedly in the lead for much of the war.
Yeah, but the Brits were in the lead for the
and America just like grew to be like so powerful. And like obviously the left hate America because it's capitalist, it's white supremacy, even though nowadays like we've had a black president who I endorsed in 2008 for that reason, actually. And I don't regret it because
I endorsed him for about 4 weeks and then I went off him.
There's someone called Mary in the chat. Is that your other half?
I don't know, but I'll be back in 1 minute and then you can quickly jump to the loo.
Yeah, I'll find you going. So what started off as a Strawman stream has turned into a bit of a history lesson. How you doing, Chowder? Got quite a few messages there. The Sunnies want to take over the world. Shias want to destroy the world. Well, that kind of makes sense. The Shias just want to watch the world burn. Yeah, I can see that thing that you mentioned on Casualty, the Cali thing. So I've not got the volume up because I have like BBC One on because I'm going to watch Match of the Day after. But it does get the impression that this is possibly like pro open borders propaganda. But then I'm not watching this. And I don't usually watch soaps because they just leave me cold. Hashtag fuck Saudi, indeed. God bless the Poles. Yep. So, ended up being going through a lot more than I expected there. Wonder if I should get back on topic with like the Boston thing next. As soon as Scottish individual makes his return. Excuse me. The purpose of the BBC is propaganda. It is. They're operating on a communist platform. And the taxpayers pay for that. Let that sink in.
Let's be back.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Means something a wee bit different to me.
Yeah. I don't mean it in that context. Oh, did you remember that tweet about when I got permabanned from that Celtic forum? It's actually been lifted.
Talk Celtic.
Yeah. I mean, it was because of the tweet I sent out. Yeah. Sorry, what was that? Your fine's going a bit robotic again. Yes, my friend that's in the chat, he's of Indian descent, and he's like more pro-Trump than like you, me, and Breitbart combined. He's like, putting out so many like pro-Trump things. Like he's like so red-pilled. I'm surprised he's not called me a cuck yet.
If you're not being called a cuck, you're not doing it right.
Mary Magdalene joined this video call.
Aye, she's listening, but she's not talking. It was my partner. She's sitting
right. Hello there, Mary. If you want to talk, you're more than welcome to, but if you want to listen, that's cool.
She's not got a mic yet. If she puts her laptop mic on, all people here will be like white noise and shit, you know?
Yeah. So, where to go next? I want to try and get back to like the original topic. I mean, I was happy to drift away from time to time because it isn't a serious stream. But going back to the Boston thing, you mentioned that earlier in a tweet, eh?
Yeah, I mentioned it several tweets.
I've got to. Now, I don't know if there's been any like neo-Nazis attending that. I mean, all I've known is that all I'm seeing is tweets from people like saying that the far left are protesting free speech. Yeah. So you talk me through a few things that you've seen then for that.
There is absolutely zero far-right representation at that event. Event,
imagine my shock.
The opening speech of that event was a LCC legalised cannabis campaign talker. There was actually a speech from Black Lives Matter as well, and there was a speech from several left-wing groups gave speeches, but the majority were centre-right to right-wing. But there was the whole spectrum were included in that rally. The rally only had a couple of hundred people, by the way. But obviously the response from the left was to mobilise tens of thousands of black.
And you've briefly gone quiet again.
We've ended up in a situation where the left who have decided to protest this are telling people that it was a Nazi rally. It wasn't a Nazi rally, it wasn't even exclusively right-wing by any means. This was a cross-party rally, and the left have done what the left do because the left think that free speech is now a Nazi ideal, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible. I mean, CNN, they put out a tweet, or a news article rather, of like what they called 9 white supremacist marches, but I think a couple of free speech marches with no racial agenda was like put on the list. Yeah. Paul Joseph Watson like tore into them for that. But it's just like the CNN, they're now shilling for Antifa. It's horrible. I mean,
So
as
the
if
BBC.
yeah. Oh, I can imagine the BBC. The BBC are terrible. My friend then mentioned that they're pure propaganda. Like while you were away, and
Yeah,
it's true.
because
I
they
mean,
are.
and like the taxpayers are paying for that.
Yeah, we are paying for cultural Marxists to tell us what to do.
It's awful. I mean,
Um,
if anything that's like taxpayer funded, I mean, the BBC should have like it should be neutral on everything. I'm happy for them to have the far left on to discuss things, as long as they've got people who are moderate to like sort of refute them. Even like the far right. I mean, I think Milo Yiannopoulos, he kept on mentioning about how when Nick Griffin went on Question Time years ago, it was like one of the most watched episodes in its history.
it really
And
was.
and like,
If you go
I
back
can't stand Nick Griffin. He's an absolute twat, an
he
absolute
isn't fun, but
scumbag.
if you go back and you watch the Nick Griffin Question Time episodes, the one area that I do feel respect for Nick Griffin is the fact that he sat there and he took the most one-sided.
Oh, you've gone quiet again. I heard you say one-sided. It was definitely one-sided. I mean, I still hate him, but it was like one-sided. But the thing is, getting him on the show and letting him make an ass of himself rather than censoring him is the way to go. I mean, the BNP lost a lot of support after that, and that wasn't because of the media. That's because they gave him a platform. And,
So, I mean, I defend, the way I look at it when it comes to free speech, I defend the right of Islamophobes, racists, bigots, sexists, whatever, to reveal themselves to be racist, sexist, bigots, or whatever.
oh, absolutely.
I believe I'm given a platform to every possible conceivable ideology. I believe there's a disconnect I have with looking at right, proper right-wing followers, where I got threatened of a jihadi who threatened to cut my head off.
You threatened to what? Sorry.
I got threatened by a jihadi who threatened to cut my head off, and I retweeted it, and I added a couple of comments like, just kind of making light of it. And I had a few comments from the alt-right and more like proper right-wing followers who were like, oh, you should be, report back to the police, you should be making a big deal of that. And I was like, no, I'm not going to make a big deal of it because of the fact that it's one ranting Muslim somewhere. I didn't care because I've met the reality of being circled and filmed by Syrians, and I've encountered the reality of being circled by a gang of Somalis.
Yeah, you mentioned.
The reality of being like encountered by a gang of Afghan gentlemen. So I know what it's like to meet the real third world. So when a middle class white left winger is saying, I'm a racist and a Muslim middle class London Muslim is saying I should be beheaded, I don't take it seriously. I think it's just a left winger ranting away at me, and I'm not willing to get the police involved. If I thought it was legitimate, I would get the police involved. But I'm not going to.
Of course, yeah.
Definitely, I've got a family, I've got a girlfriend who my fiance I love. And obviously, I want to pregnant her with a few white Western Aryan children.
Yeah. Do you want to tweak your microphone a bit? You've kind of gone a bit quieter now.
Yeah, I'm going to leave actually. I need to leave. So obviously I'll say my goodbye.
No, thanks for coming on.
No, it's all right.
You go to maybe about 20 past because that's when the match of the day's on. And
well, my original plan was to have a little drink, do some random share some videos. I was working today, so obviously I was paying taxes, earning money, paying taxes, so that things become living, and then obviously so that Muslims can go in my own country, so I have to pay my taxes.
Yeah.
No, but it was a pleasure, obviously, talking to you, man. I'll talk to you again when I'm not as drunk.
Yeah. You were drunk, you didn't seem it.
No, I was very drunk.
You want to know an interesting fact about me? I don't drink at all.
What? you're actually sober?
I'm teetotal. I made that decision last Christmas. So drinking is strictly haram to me.
Well done, my friend. Well done. You've held on pretty
Yeah, I
well.
mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it doesn't affect me in a bad way. I mean, I'm quite a jovial drinker, you know, when I used to do it. I just thought, nah. And besides, you know, if I'm doing things like karate, and, you know, I want to put getting fit to, you know, central in my lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I just cut that out.
Nah, you've done the right thing, but I want to thank you for obviously taking the time to talk to me tonight.
No, that's good. I thought, I was wanting to do a stream. I was trying to, I actually asked Tailed Feature if he wanted to come on, but he was obviously busy. So, and I wanted to like go through. I was actually going to do a video originally, and I just thought, you know what, I can't be arsed. I'll just do a stream instead.
Streams are always good. Streams are always good.
Yeah, well, I love doing streams.
Well, anyway, thank you for obviously having me on, and I'll be out now. I'll probably be on Twitter for like another half hour, maybe an hour. I'll be off that. So cheers for
Maybe a few more Marxists to tear into.
Yeah, I've always got Marxists to tear into. That's no problem.
But anyway, no, it was good having you on, and we'll do it again at some point.
Pleasure, mate. Well, let's be signing out. Have fun, and we'll see you on Twitter.
Right, take it easy, man. Take care of yourself.
Will do, man.
Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.